It's Thursday, September 16th. Coming up live on The View. They're the hottest topics in the headlines. From J-Lo's big payday on American Idol to Mad Mel's stepping out in disguise. And which TV star begged her mom for plastic surgery. Plus, ABC News chief law and justice correspondent Chris Cuomo's taking you inside the triple murder that shocked a Connecticut town and has some people blaming the police. Plus, Amy Brenneman has a sneak peek at the new season of Private Practice and revealing the surprising health scare that led to her brand new look. Then, Katherine Schwarzenegger is sharing how bad her body image issues got growing up with picture-perfect parents like Arnold and Maria Shriver, and how it put her on a mission to help teens love the way they look. All that, hot topics, and more, coming up live on The View.
Welcome to The View. Y'all look very nice.
Oh, so do you.
I look like an adult.
That's how, you look like that.
So does Sherry.
I feel like a grown-ass woman.
This look.
You know.
You look great.
It's like a mix between Snooki and like Lady Day. Yeah, it's really yeah. She knew who I meant.
She needs a what do you call it, a gardenia.
Yeah.
Oh, the gardenia.
Who doesn't need a gardenia in their hair? I love a good gardenia. Anyway, you know, New York's Mayor Mike Bloomberg announced he's expanding his ban on smoking to include all government-owned property, parks, beaches, marinas, even Times Square. Mike, I understand the beach. I get that, because it's got lots of little kids running around her. I understand that. As long as you're outside and there are receptacles, I think it's a little bizarre. I have to say, it exists in L.A., and I find it very strange.
Because there's a ban everywhere in L.A.?
Yeah, you can't smoke in LA.
So where do you smoke?
No,
you can only smoke if you're moving, walking on a street?
No, you can't smoke on the street. You have to be there.
That's why it's so weird to come out to New York, living in LA for 23 years, knowing you can't smoke. And I come to New York and I just see people just sitting outside smoking.
Yeah.
I always thought it was
That's
against
how I
the
feel
law.
about bars. Because
Yeah.
you never see that. You know, I see all these commercials, what you're doing to your kids with your cigarette, but I never see the alcohol commercial that shows the crunched up car from people drinking and driving. I mean, if you're really going to talk about the things that hurt, it makes me crazy.
But with drinking as well, but even if you drink, you know, we're talking about accidents that happen, but some people drink and it doesn't affect the other person unless they get into an accident. But when you're smoking, secondhand smoke affects everybody.
What about
every day.
What about the cars and all the? I mean, is it just the cigarette smoke that's out there, or is there a lot of stuff out there, like from buses or taxis, that can really sort of hurt your lungs?
You need the buses.
You know,
and
this
you
is
need
what
the
happens. I'm allergic to smoke. It closes my throat up.
Right.
I don't want anyone near me who smokes.
Right.
So do you think this is a good idea, Joy?
Golly, you can't make one joke.
Anyway, I do not like smoke near me, right?
Right.
And he shouldn't certainly. But as long as it's a legal thing to do, smoke, they can't really. They're sort of criminalizing it.
Well, they have
If they're going to criminalize it, then make it
stop
illegal
selling
to
it.
sell.
Well, no, I think what they're doing, you can't, a blanket, say, law like that, it would be, ridiculous. You can drink, you just can't drink certain places, right? Like, they're kind of doing the same thing that they've done with alcohol.
You can't go out with an open
in a way.
container out on the street.
That's what they're doing, and this is also
But you
a
can
way,
get in your car.
outside of, say, these fines would otherwise, I think, turn into another sort of tax, because what they're doing in this climate, economy-wise, they're just trying to recoup funds, and this is the easiest way to do it.
Well, you know, it costs you $14, $15 a pack of cigarettes in New York City. That's what it costs you for a pack of smoke.
I didn't realize it was that much for a pack of
it's
cigarettes.
$14. Okay, so you got the taxes there. People keep saying, oh, you know, this is for your health and for the health of other people. Then stop selling it. Stop selling them. Make them illegal. But you don't want to do that because, well, but see, you can't tell me that it's okay for you to collect the revenue from the thing that you're telling me is messing me up that I can only do on this much spot in the world.
The only thing I would ask.
That's the irony.
I get that too.
But if they're raising it to $14, aren't they making it hard for
$14.
I mean, or if it's at $14, it's making it very hard for people to do.
No, it's not. Smokers who want to smoke are going to, yeah.
All I ask is that you put the butts in the trash, because the other day I found Isaiah munching on something after we were in a park, and I said, Isaiah, spit that out, because he's just getting teeth. Show Mommy what's in your mouth, and he all comes out. A cigarette. The kid smelled like he was in a bar all night for the rest of the day.
And he just didn't call.
Yeah.
Now, last night was the finale of America's Got Talent, and 30-year-old, go ahead, Michael Grimm took the top prize over 10-year-old Jackie Evancho. Take a look, see if you agree with the decision.
Cause baby, you're my world, yeah.
For her.
Yeah.
Wow, the fact that came out of a 10-year-old body, but I definitely think things are going to happen for her. She might not have won, but she's going to win.
If the show is called America's Got Talent, you have a 10-year-old who sings like Maria Callas, and you give it to a Michael Bolton look-alike, sing-alike.
Was he too old?
I mean, he's very cute and adorable, but he's not that interesting. A 10-year-old who can sing like that. That's what America's Got Talent. That's what the show should be.
Is this guy, was he too old to go on American Idol?
There was a story with both.
It's original.
He said he was a boy from Mississippi. I mean, he got the hearts of America because he had a really good story behind him. And
sometimes doesn't have a good story.
His grandparents lost everything in Hurricane Katrina. He said he wanted to buy a new home for them and help them.
Foreclosure, and they're having trouble. Everybody's got a story.
Well,
the problem with this show is that the talent is so varied. You know, it is difficult to compare someone like him, a modern-day crooner, to a young girl who seems like, oh my goodness, how could you have
voting out there, right? It's about a lot of tweens.
I don't know about America's Got Talent.
And they think he's cute and sexy, and sex always wins over talent.
But do you really think she's not going to win? I mean, I think from people seeing this performance, there are many, many things that are going to happen.
I think they know there's money to be made off of this. There's money to be made off of this guy.
This young lady is going to be
He might have a little show.
What is her name? What is her name? I missed it.
Her name is
something Evancho.
Jackie Evancho.
Jackie Evancho, please, we want you to come on The View, baby. We want you to come on The View. Because, A, we just want to find out how you got into opera, which is one of those things that I love, but B, how did you develop that voice? That voice is magnificent.
She's so good that people thought she was lip-syncing. Now that we know she's not lip-syncing, you really can understand the kid is talented. That's a gift.
And speaking of talent, Jennifer Lopez has reportedly signed a $12 million deal to be a judge on American Idol. Aerosmith Steven Tyler is another new face at the judge's table, and Randy Jackson will be back.
Now, my question is...
wear my hair like that. Like Steven, not Jennifer.
You know, the question that I have with these two, I don't know Steven Tyler. I don't see him a lot on TV. Who is going to be that Simon Cowell? You know, you got...
His hair is going to take longer to do. I don't know.
J-Lo and Steven Tyler. But you got three people at a table. I've never known Jennifer Lopez to be, you know, caustic or mean. I don't know about, like I said, Steven Tyler.
Well, maybe then...
I think that you're underestimating, though.
Tell the truth.
Maybe
they're going to have a different way of talking to people.
But a lot of the reason why the ratings were so high was Simon Cowell.
Yes, here's the deal. Simon Cowell was not just a one-trick pony.
That can't be the only reason people are watching.
No, it's not the only reason.
So perhaps with the 3 judges or 4 judges, I think there's one more person, but I don't know who it is. But, well, it'll be different.
No,
it'll be different.
Use this show as an example. We've changed so many times over the past 13 years. Nobody tries to duplicate the previous group. It's a new group. It's new. It's a different show. But 12 million, think she deserves that? That's
well, it's $2 million more. It's $2 million more than what Paula was asking for and didn't get, which caused her to leave, and it's $2 million less than what Ryan Seacrest is making.
I think she deserves it. I think that's Jennifer Lopez. I think Jennifer Lopez has a body of work. underneath her that says
she's got a
$12
body,
million.
all right.
That's not what makes it the $12 million.
That's not what makes it $12
No, she's
million.
got
What makes it $12 million
experience.
is that she has a lot of experience with music, and she is someone who has
what
an
I mean
ear.
by her body of work.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
that's-
like her movies and stuff.
No, I mean the experience that she has in the music industry.
Paula had a body of work in the music
Yes, but
industry.
they didn't know how big the show was going to be, and they weren't prepared to give her $12 million
Maybe
because they'd
Paula
already
came in now.
used her.
The deal with Simon, too, is that he was
They had used her
Familiarity
up, as far
breeds,
as I'm
contempt.
concerned. So they got somebody new who said, you know what, I'm only going to come if you give me this.
And it's not just about being mean. If you're mean and nothing else, that show would have been nothing if Simon was mean without the substance that he delivered, and he had great
I would
substance.
say, I don't think you can reproduce Simon, but you can reproduce a train wreck, and Paula was that. She was a train wreck.
I thought she
had
actually offered incredible
You didn't watch
info.
it to see Paula be a
Yes, I did.
Paula,
she's
Paula was a nurturer.
Whatever
on the
reason
show.
you watched it, you know, something's going to happen, so you'll tune it in, and we'll probably be talking about it for the next couple of years. Anyway, we're going to go and come right back because, you know, we got more hot topics and stuff. In the new book, Carla and the Ambitious, written in collaboration with French First Lady Carla Bruni, Carla claims she asked Michelle Obama about being First Lady of the U.S., and that Michelle replied, "Don't ask, it's hell. I can't stand it."
You know, when you have, first of all, First Lady Obama could have been joking and being sarcastic, but I think when you have private conversations, some private conversations need to stay private conversations. We don't need to know everything that's going on with two people who are talking. I think that's such a betrayal of a confidence.
Let's not also underestimate the fact that this could be not true. So don't assume that what she's writing is true. You know, you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe she told us what Michelle said. She may not have even mouthed those words.
I guess, wow, to think that you would actually come out and lie about something that the First Lady of the United States would say, and you're that person.
What do you think of this other part of her book where she says that she does not allow the French photographers to take pictures of her when she's carrying a baby in some charity event? She says there's something, quote unquote, there's something obscene in promoting yourself when you are giving of yourself, with a reference to Lady Diana, Princess Diana. What? Yeah.
So she's been a little snarky.
In other words, she's taking a snarky attack at Princess Di because Diana used to take pictures in Africa. So Diana would let them take the picture.
Who's going to read this book? Are you all going to buy this book? Okay, can we move on?
I think
because she's just, you know, she's over in France. She's over in France. You ain't going to buy the book.
I'm going to France.
You're not going to buy that book.
But I think just to make money off of this kind of thing, where you're at.
You know what?
Barbara did a special. Didn't Barbara have her on her show?
I don't know. You know what? Buy
Barbara will get the real info.
Yeah.
Listen, let's talk about some real stuff. The deep stuff.
Yes.
Paparazzi snap pictures of Mel Gibson leaving the Santa Monica office in disguise.
You know who he looks like? There's a picture of that Reverend, the Reverend. What about that guy?
He
looks like him.
Was he trying to look like him, you think?
Well, put the glasses and the hat on.
Pack of matches he had next to him.
With a Bible.
You know what, Mel? You're not fooling anybody, okay? You want to go in disguise, dress up like a rabbi.
Oh. Ouch. Moving on. The Black Eyed Peas, Will.i.am, has come under fire for his outfit at the MTV VMAs. MTV VMAs.
Yes.
Jesus.
Will.i.am.
One critic accused him of setting black people back 100 years.
Well, you know,
his blackface, they're complaining about.
Right.
But he says it shouldn't looked at as being racial because he's not in blackface. He's just painted black.
Right. You know,
That's different.
It was a lot of people on Twitter. I remember reading when the VMAs were on, and they were outraged because they said, you know, he was in blackface.
Oh, damn it, do your homework.
That's what I think. I think if you look at it, you can tell this is part of his whole costume, him being an artist.
Let me clear this up. That is not blackface. Take it from me. Okay? That's not what blackface looks like. Blackface comes from a tradition of minstrel shows on the stage where people were pretending, particularly white people were pretending to be black, and so they painted their faces black and did the big red lips, okay? That's what blackface is, and then it was carried into, you know, the 20th century by different artists.
Right.
That is art, what this kid is doing. This is not blackface. So you know what? Either do your homework or don't condemn. Back out.
Yeah, you know, I like
What about this?
People love to be outraged.
I know.
Love an outrage.
Well, what about this? A North Carolina high school student claims her suspension over a nose ring that violates the school's dress code is a violation of her First Amendment rights.
So pretty.
To her freedom of religion. Now, she's a member of the Church of Body Modification, and the nose ring...
Well,
It's part of her faith. This is part of her faith.
Yeah, that's
the problem is that the school is saying they're trying to contend whether this is a real religion or not, which is her parents' issue right now at the school and hers, because indeed it has, I think, 3,500 members.
Yeah, and they're federally recognized.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. They file paper.
The question is, are they tax exempt? Because once you say you're a church, I mean, I'm going to start a church, the Our Lady of Hair Conditioning. I mean, come on, give me a break.
But if you file the papers and you got the, you know, you can prove it. I don't know. I would think that you can say this is part of my religion. You got 3,500 members.
There was remember the woman, was it 2 years back?
Have your church just to pay your taxes.
But schools also, schools have regulations for reasons too, and they're asking on one hand if this were, say, Christianity, or if she were Muslim, would they restrict her in any way from acting out her religion just by accessories, or if something meant something to her? Or then you have the other side where that woman, I think it was 2 years ago, was fired from Costco for also being in the same church.
That's right.
And wearing an earring or nose ring or something.
Right.
And they didn't want her to wear the jewelry.
The IRS has a church definition, and one of them is a distinct religious history. What's the history of this group? Okay.
Define history. Is it a day?
Sunday
Is it a year?
schools for religious instruction, regular congregations, established places of worship, a literature of its own.
So if they can prove all of that.
There are things that you have to conform to.
Those are...
To be tax exempt. That's my only issue.
Is this tax exempt? Do we know that?
Well, that's what I'd like someone to find out.
Someone can find out if they're tax exempt.
Media matters.
But until then, until we know, oh yes, they are.
Yes.
I've just been told they are.
See?
So
they're
I
tax
guess they
exempt.
proved all of that
How do you
stuff.
like that?
You know?
That doesn't tick everybody
and
off.
Here you go. Well, you know what? Some people believe that, you know, a rock talks. Some people believe that.
Fine.
You know?
Just pay your damn taxes.
Well, this is not an issue of them not paying their taxes. This is an issue of us saying that whether they're whether it's a religion that we would recognize or not.
Everybody's yelling, the country needs money, the country needs money, and then these people don't pay taxes?
Who are you talking about? Who's not paying taxes? Everybody's going to be paying enough taxes come January. Believe me, taxes are going to be
Not
paid.
them, not this church.
They are, everybody. This country's going to be paid.
Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. We are moving on. Because Sherry has something to say. Go ahead.
Cast members from All My Children and General Hospital will be starring in 3 performances of Candor and Ebbs, The World Goes Round, in Los Angeles to benefit the LA Gay and Lesbian Center on October 7th, 9th, and 10th. For tickets and more information, log on to abc.com.
Are you in this?
There's a mini
No,
computer.
All right. So, when we come back, we're probably going to take a little bit of a more serious note here, because we're coming back with ABC News' Chris Cuomo, and he's taking you inside this insanely crazy triple murder case in Connecticut. And some say the police could have prevented this, but we'll talk to Chris and see what he's got to tell us. We'll be right back. There's a shocking trial going on right now in Connecticut involving the kidnapping, beating, and rape and triple murder of a mom and her 2 daughters. Now, that has people asking if the police could have prevented this horrible tragedy. Here to take us inside the case is Chief of ABC News Legal Unit, Chris Cuomo. Hey, Chris.
How are you?
I gotta ask you, this is an insanely horrible crime. It's got people shaken up. I mean, take us through quickly, if you can. What happened that night?
What it looks like this was supposed to be was an armed robbery, a burglary of a home. The girls, the mother, they were stalked by Comer Stejewski, one of the guys, and Hayes. But Comer Stejewski, the younger guy, he was watching them. Why? Because he is a big-time burglar robber. So is Hayes. They'd always done petty crimes, lots of them, in and out of jail. They were on parole at this time. They followed them home. They beat the husband.
Wait, can I stop you? The girls never saw them before that, right? You said
no connection.
He stalked them, but they
no
didn't know it.
Right, right. Why they were targeted, we'll have to find out. This was a beautiful family that did beautiful things. They were a family of means, but not extravagant. We don't know how they got in there. Maybe through electrical contractors. Comer Stejewski had some. We don't know yet. But what we do know is they get into the house and they change, these two men. They go from petty burglars to brutal criminals. They beat the husband almost to death, Dr. Will.i.am Pettit. They take the girls, they do horrible things. They take the mother, they say, you're going to go get money or you're going to die, and so will they. She goes to the bank, she tells the teller, my family's being held hostage, I have to get money, give me the money. The teller calls 911. The cops come to the house.
This is the surveillance
They
of it.
surround the house, and now the question becomes, why did they only do that?
We also have the 911 call, so take a listen.
Emergency.
We have a lady who is in our bank right now who says that her husband and children are being held at their house. She is getting $15,000 to bring out to them, that if the police are told, they will kill the children and the husband. Her name is Jennifer Pettit. She is petrified.
Okay, she still is in the bank?
Yes, she is.
Okay, her husband and family.
And I looked at, yes, they're tied up, she said. They told her they wouldn't hurt anybody if she got back there with the money. She believes them. I think she's walking out now.
Can you, it's really difficult to even listen to that. Can you walk us through what happened after that call? And some are saying that the police didn't act swiftly enough.
Right, but you know, we have to be careful here. Because it looks, from my sources and what we understand of the investigation, the police did what they were supposed to do, believing it was a hostage situation. When you are too quick to enter a hostage situation, the hostage usually loses. So that's why they're setting up a perimeter. Within minutes of getting this call, they were figuring out what to do, even though they were a small police force and they were reaching out for more assets. They get there, they watch. About a half hour later, they wind up seeing one of the assailants leave, and here's the key. That's when they see Dr. Pettit. He manages to escape. And this is the other thing about this story that makes it so important. This man's human journey, a father's nightmare, to be caught in a situation where you can't help the only people you care about in the world. And he does the only thing he can. He tries to escape. They see him, the police, because they're waiting outside, creating the perimeter as procedure allows. They think he may be one of the assailants. He's so bloodied. And only when they piece that together do they see Comer Stejewski running from the house, and they wind up stopping him. The house goes on fire. The police try to get in. They can't. It's too hot, too much smoke. Only once the firefighters get there do they find the bodies. The girls had been tied to the beds. The mother, worse, strangled, probably dead before that was done. All by these two men, inexplicably. None of it needed to happen. The defense is going to say, well, it got out of hand. It was only supposed to be, nobody was supposed to die. Probably not good enough. That's why they're up for capital murder.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So are they sure, because they're up for capital murder, are they sure that they can get away with the death penalty? Because I know that that was a problem.
You know, you have to have confidence going into it. Here's the problem, and if you want to be outraged about the system. This is going to take a long time. Death penalty cases, capital cases, any detail, any type of procedural minutia, anything they can do to derail it does, because there's such a high standard. This Dr. Pettit had to relive it. He was very even and calm in court.
He was in court this week. What did he say? This was done in 2007, did you say?
This was on July 23rd, 2007. So it took some years for this to happen. There's been a lot of shenanigans in between. One of the defendants tried to kill himself. Poor him. There's been a book written. The guy did an interview, and he's talking about the bloodlust of it. He's got a troubled past. I talked to a member of Comer Stejewski's family. They don't understand where this comes from. Was he a druggie? Yes. Was he a criminal? Yes. But Pettit gets on the stand, gives a very even read of what happened. But remember, he didn't know what was going on with his daughters. He heard his wife saying she needed to change before she went to the bank. He didn't know. He was beaten so badly. He lost so much blood they thought he might expire himself. He might literally exsanguinate.
Transfusion, didn't they?
They did. Almost 7 pints of blood he lost.
Exactly.
But he still managed to get himself out. But to live with what he has to live with, and to deal with the ordeal of this, not one trial, two. These two guys are being tried separately.
And also, isn't it, even if they convict them, their time on death row could, you know, be endless.
Life.
You know, and that's why when you look at these situations, you have to think, what do we get out of this? I really hope we understand how the darkness took over these two individuals. Were they criminals? Absolutely.
They were both out on parole, right?
But not like this. They were druggies, burglars, robbers.
On parole.
And I'm not saying that's nice. I'm saying that this wasn't supposed to happen. This was not necessary to happen. This was so brazen, so wanton. And then Dr. Pettit, a man who's done nothing but good things his entire life, to now live with this every day.
Chris, let me ask you this. You keep saying that, I'm sorry, quickly, it wasn't supposed to happen. How do we know that this wasn't supposed, how do we know what their mindset was going into that home?
We don't know, and that's what we want to learn. It's a perfect question, Elizabeth, because the question is that they've never done anything like this. They hadn't planned anything like this. Hayes supposedly told Komashajewski, would you do an armed heist? Because usually you're not armed. He said, yeah, I'd do an armed heist. Okay. But it turned to something much worse.
This is going to go on and on. We're going to stick with you, Chris. We'll bring you back when we know more and when you know more to share with us. And when we come back, we're coming back with private practice star Amy Brenneman. Thank you, Chris.
Was emotionally devastating, and millions of us are dying to find out what happens next. So, here with a brand new look and a sneak peek at the new season, please welcome Amy Brenneman.
That dress is great.
Yummy piece of something. Your hair is short.
Okay. It's only a week old.
Love it.
Just did it for the first time.
How do you like it?
I really like it. I feel like I'm in 7th grade. I think that was the last time I had short hair. But we have better products now. So.
Oh, my goodness.
That's right.
Well, you know, I mean, when I used to have a little fro, you know, so I was like, I have to have long hair, but now it's like,
it looks,
what the hell?
Yeah, it's
so
good looking. Summertime, baby. You need to stay cool.
Arlene cut my hair.
There you go. Well, just the whole look is very chic. Well, you know, your character Violet, during last season, she was going through a lot of stuff, a lot of trauma, and so she was gone from the show for a while. What was going on in your life that you were gone?
I had a big old operation. That I had been suffering from ulcerative colitis for about 5 years, and then I had to have an operation to correct that, and I'm great. I'm great now.
You're good now.
Yes. So
you're healthy. Good. That's nice.
So Violet and I both went away.
Yeah. But you're back strong.
Yeah.
A little recap
Violet,
time.
I think, went to Costa Rica. I went to Cedar Sinai. But, I didn't get to go to Costa Rica.
They can sort of make the plot go along with the actress.
Well, Shonda is amazing at that, and Shonda Rhimes is such a human being, and she's a single mom, and so you don't.
She knows.
Yeah, it's like I have stuff going on. It's like go, you got to do.
You guys had a building full of tears here at the season finale. I mean, between Dell dying and the baby now an orphan. I mean, it was so emotional. Does the cast get that emotional? Did you get that emotional about the ending?
Yeah. Well, we love Chris Lowell, who plays Dell. And we knew that that was going to be his last episode, but we never know, the stories until we read them. But I think that sneaky plot and how she did it, so all of our focus was on Maya, and then it just was devastating.
It kind of leads us into what's
There's tons
next.
of sex on that show.
There is. And this was at the end of last season, Violet, you got back together with Tim Daly's character, Peter. And then now we come back. You guys are planning a wedding. You're about to get married. How did all this happen so quickly?
A huge orgasm.
See? You see?
That's literally what happened.
A lot of sex and you get married.
That's literally what happened. It's like the first scene of the season, really, is us, and then it was so good. He said, let's get married. I'm like, okay.
Now, are you happy about that? Are you happy about Violet and Peter coming back together?
I am. I mean, I think that what was, after that really bitter custody battle, but I think that was written so nicely so that Violet really grew up and sort of You know, listen, couples sometimes don't make it, but you have to work together for the kid. So I said to Shonda, like, I don't know what you're going to do about Pete and Violet, but they got to be civil because there's a kid, you know? Yeah. So the fact that they're working out as a couple is icing on the cake.
Well, we're excited because you brought us a sneak peek of next season's episode. Can you set it up for us?
Yes, I think this is when I tell my best friend Cooper, Paul Edelstein, that I am getting married, and Cooper and I have been best friends forever, and neither one of us likes it when the other one really has a serious boyfriend or girlfriend, so he has mixed feelings.
All right, let's take a look.
All I need is Pete and the people I love around me, and I can have that now.
When you say now, you mean?
This weekend.
Are you serious?
There's no reason to wait.
There are many reasons to wait.
Name one.
Well, I mean, your parents aren't just going to hop on a plane.
It's random. And I said people I love.
Okay, how about the fact that a couple of months ago you two were at each other's throats in a courtroom?
We're past that.
How far past?
Far enough. And tell Objective Cooper that if he keeps annoying me about this, I'm not going to ask friend Cooper to be my maid of honor.
Now
Big smile,
there you have the long hair.
Yes. Violet has long hair. Violet will still have long hair.
Oh, okay.
Violet has this incredible wig. I had no idea about wigs. Now I do. I'm so naive about
Girl, come
pieces.
borrow some of mine. I got a bunch for you.
It sort of lets you have kind of best of both worlds.
I really, you know, because I've always had the thick, nice hair, so I didn't know how many pieces and wigs and what you can do.
What is your husband like? Because you guys have been married, is it 14 years?
It's almost 15 years.
God,
yes, I know.
We're
always here right around my
anniversary. Because it's always a new season for you, and you always work.
I like it. September, The View.
There's a movie coming out with Justin Timberlake called The Social Network.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about how Facebook just took over the world. Now, this all started, these guys were going to Harvard. Is Harvard, because you attended Harvard, so is Harvard about going there for the education, or is it about the connections? Because that was one of the themes in The Social Network.
Harvard is about you get into Harvard and your parents make you go. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, Harvard, what is Harvard about? I was hanging out with the weird, fringy, arty people. So, yes, it is absolutely who my friends
because they
are
had
the best
things in
and the
their
brightest.
clubs that you can get into that were so exclusive. But once you got in, you made connections for life.
Well, honestly, not to stir the pot, but those are all women are not allowed into those clubs.
No,
women are not allowed in those clubs.
Away.
So I went once. You have to be sort of like invited, and I went, and I was like, what? Like this is, I mean, I really, there's a piece of Harvard that, I mean, literally I was hanging out with, you know, the gay people and the tap dancers, and that was not my, you know.
There's a ton of comedy writers that come out of Harvard. They call it the Harvard Mafia. They hire each other.
Well, that's because of the Harvard Lampoon. They're very funny, the Harvard Lampoon. And so they went to The Simpsons.
There are cliques everywhere.
There
are cliques everywhere.
I know. You guys are a clique.
Amy, we're so glad you're part of our clique, girl.
I love
we
coming
just
here.
love you.
I do.
Thank you so much to Amy Brenneman. This season of Private Practice premieres Thursday, September 23rd at 10 p.m. right here on ABC. We're going to be right back. You look so good.
When your mom's a gorgeous TV journalist from the Kennedy family and your dad's a bodybuilding action movie superstar, you're going to grow up with some body image issues. And our next guest wrote a book every teen should read called Rock What You've Got, Secrets to Loving Your Inner and Outer Beauty, from someone who's been there and back. Please welcome Katherine Schwarzenegger. You are looking at you, it's like a vision of your mom, too.
Her father also is the governor of California.
Yeah, presently now, yes, governor of California. But before that, incredible action star, Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
How? I mean, I can't even fathom. When you see that, though, I mean, how does that affect how you grow up in terms of your own body image and what it's expected?
You know, I think that a lot of people think that I would look at those pictures and think that, be self-conscious about my body or try to look better. But I really look at those pictures and I don't feel any extra pressure from them just because I think he's so muscly and a man. I don't want to look like that.
Right.
So that really never affected me. I mean, it could easily affect my brothers maybe because they're boys, but it really never had an impact on me.
Now, usually it's mothers who tell girls about being healthy and the way to eat and exercise. In your case, it was your father, and he would tell you this, especially when he was preparing for a film. So when he would give you this advice, did it help you or did it annoy you?
I think it annoyed me, definitely, yeah. I think I think that, you know, you can either do one of two things, either get really annoyed with it or get really embarrassed when they say things like that to you. And for me, it just kind of like ticked me off that somebody would say like stuff like that to me. So I talk a lot in the book about food policing being a bad thing and a negative thing to do to your daughter, your kids in general.
When does he have time to work out? I read that he works out twice a day.
Yeah, twice a day. I know, he's super busy, but he wakes up every morning at 5:30 religiously to make sure to work out, and he reads the paper and works out at the same time, and then he comes home after work and goes back into the gym and works out again. He's crazy.
He's got to keep it going.
Yeah, no, I think it's more psychological.
It's part of who he's been all these years has always been about fitness.
You know, Katherine, you wrote the book for teenagers, and you're telling them to love themselves, love their body, and how to do it. And I think, you know, some people might look at you and say, well, you know, you're from this iconic family, you have all this money, you look perfect. What do you know about that? Why, what would you say to that?
I would say that, you know, I was like every other girl, and I am like every other girl in America that goes through doubts about their body. And when I was in high school, I went through the exact same changes that every other girl in the world goes through about, you know, feeling like, what is this new body I have? I have hips all of a sudden. I have a butt all of a sudden, and boobs and everything. And so I think that, you know, just because I come from a family that's an iconic family doesn't mean that I am not a normal person and go through the exact same changes that every other girl goes through. And I try to share all those stories in the book to let them know that I'm like a relatable person and that I'm normal, and, you know, I've been through all of that, and you're going to be fine.
Did your mother help you with that?
You mean be normal and be fine? Yeah, she did. She gave me a lot of advice about being like that. My parents were really big on having a normal childhood growing up as much as possible, and so I think they did a good job. You know, we didn't go to premieres and everything and get photographed, so we tried to be as normal as possible.
You also write about in the book your grandmother, Eunice Shriver, was very thin, we all know, and I learned that she was strict about food as your mom was growing up. And there was something you wrote about that she said to your mom that affected her sort of evolution.
Well, she said my mom did a ballet class when she was younger, and a ballet performance, and my grandma went to it and said that she did a really good job, but every time she left across the stage shook. So she was like, she didn't dance again, did not put on another tutu. So,
you know, but it's a tricky thing for mothers, because if the kid is putting on weight, you don't want to put them down. How do you get them to watch what they're eating? What do you think is a good advice for a mother?
You know, I think that I talk a lot in the book about having a really good and open, honest relationship between mother and daughter. I think that's honestly the best thing that you can do, and your kids will be able to talk to you about food, about pressures at school, about everything. And that's really the best way you can do it, because when it comes to policing food and saying, you know, trying to help them, but you really do the opposite, that doesn't work. So I think just having an open relationship.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask.
Sure.
Did your folks read the book?
They did.
What'd they say?
They liked it a lot. My dad, I think, definitely learned a lot about young girls and women and changing more than he knew before.
It's interesting, though, not just only for teen girls, but it's a powerful insight, I think, to parents to really see how to keep that communication up. So well done, Katherine. We're so glad you're here. Thanks to Katherine Schwarzenegger. Everyone in the audience is taking home Katherine's books. Moms and dads, read it. We'll be right back.
To hear, she's such a very cool, calm, young lady. It's like fabulous. I want to read the book. Yeah,
I just love her.
She's smart and sensible.
Very smart.
It's really insightful to read as a mom when you hear the things that the teens are thinking.
Well, listen, the rest of you, if you don't have the book, go get it. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy what? The View.